Hello and welcome to another tech tip by VMNerd. Our tech topic for today is how to configure private internet access with pFSense and a Road Warrior VPN. Our objectives are to create or show a visual build diagram of our lab, install any preferred plugins for pFSense that will make our lives easier, configure the Road Warrior VPN server, set up two types of VPN users, a normal VPN user and a private internet access user. Install the Road Warrior VPN client with the two user profiles. We will test the normal VPN user. Next, we will configure private internet access VPN client within pFSense. We will enable policy-based routing inside the firewall rules. We will set up any required NATs so the private internet access VPN will function correctly for our VPN users. And finally, we'll test the private internet access user. And with that, let's get started. All right, guys, so I like to go ahead and start out here. I want to start out with our diagram. Our diagram has a pFSense box, okay? And we have a management box, a Road Warrior VPN client, and you will see the internet, and we will see the private internet access VPN service. So the first thing we're going to do is from our management station, we'll connect through the internet to our pFSense box. We will start out the configuration of our Road Warrior VPN server service, so that way our Road Warrior VPN client can then VPN into pFSense to gain access. We will be testing with our first user type, which is a normal VPN user. The Road Warrior client will VPN in, and from there it will use the WAN IP as its internet IP address that's exposed to the internet. So when we go to do a what is my IP or connect to our IP site, we will see that our IP address is actually there, and that will be of the pFSense box. The next step will be to go ahead and set up private internet access within pFSense, so that way the client within pFSense will reach out to the private internet access VPN service. And then when the second Road Warrior VPN user type logs in, it will leverage that VPN service to go out to the internet. So when we do a what is my IP on the Road Warrior client, it will show the private internet access VPN service external IP that is exposed to the internet. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and start by downloading what plugins we need to for our pFSense box. 109. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is go grab some plugins. Actually, just one plugin is what we're looking for. And this will be the VPN, the client configuration tool. I'll tell you, this tool is a lifesaver for those of you that haven't used it yet. Saves a lot of time. Alright, now that that is installed, let's start by building out our CA. So we will need a certificate authority for our Road Warrior VPN server. So we'll do VPN-CA 2048 for the root. Let's copy this. Get it to match. We are in the US. CA San Jose. VMNerd. This will be from IT. Okay. Now that we did all that, let's go to our certificate section and let's create some more certificates. So the first one we're going to create is going to be our VPN-VMNerd vmnerd.org. I'm not sure if it'll store that, but no, we're going to go ahead and do it this way anyways. This is common name. Yeah, I don't think pFSense likes that, the dots there. I guess it gets confused or something. Alright, so this is going to be a server certificate. This is what we're going to use by our Road Warrior VPN server. So we'll go ahead and click Save. And now let's go ahead and create our user identities. So one will be VPN-client. Okay, so copy this guy again. Common name, and we will leave this one at a user certificate. And we're going to do one more. So instead of VPN, we're going to put PIA. The reason why we're going to do it this way is just so that way when we need to identify this certificate, we can. So again, user certificate. All right. Now the next step, let's go through the process of setting up our VPN server itself. Okay, now that we have the certificates defined, we can go through the process of setting up our remote access. Do all that. That looks good. VPN. This is where we needed that server certificate. So if you look right here, the VPN CA, it's our vpn-vmnerd.org. Looks good. The encryption algorithm will use 256 CBC. We will not be using this dynamic negotiation. I like it, but we're not going to use it. 512. Tunnel network we will use is 10.0.0.0/24. This basically means we have 250 IP address, 254 usable IP, where the 0 is the one I have highlighted. Okay, we will force all the traffic down. We will enable the compression. Let's see. Yeah, we can do that. Some of these other settings you can tinker with, but for what we're doing, we don't necessarily need to enable them. We're going to go ahead and enable our DNS server that we're going to use. Have Windows 10 block everything else. Do some net cache, net stat cleanup. Okay, and we will do both of those. That's fine. Do a save, and it should be that simple. Okay, let's go ahead and add a rule. We're going to create a firewall rule that will allow the VPN. Since we created it on the UDP port, recommendation, I tell people to use UDP here because of the transition. If you have a TCP version of that, there's a state that is typically stored inside the firewall. UDP is fire and forget. There's no stateful anything. If for whatever reason your VPN stops, and it'll keep sending packets until it responds. So if you have TCP enabled, then I don't know. It's up to you how you want to handle it. Just make sure you make the appropriate changes in the server configuration if you like or would rather use the TCP. Okay, so at this point we're going to allow to the WAN address. We're going to select OpenVPN 1194. We will go ahead and do a save. And this is now opened up to the world, which is fine. Okay, so one of the things that we did do, let's do this real quick. So in order to identify our normal user and our PIA user, we need to create a override, and this is basically how we're going to add a static IP to this server. Let's see if it's in my buffer. It is. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to add an advanced configuration option, and basically we'll type this in, config-push. So this is how we add a static IP to make sure that the client with that name continues to get the same IP every time. 0. And we'll end with a semicolon. Okay, that looks good. Let's go to our client export, and you can mess with this if you want, but at this point it's not necessary, at least to walk through this process anyways. So let's go ahead and download the installer. Okay, and then we will also download, we don't need the installer for this one, but we can grab the archive, which is basically the SSL certificates and the OpenVPN configuration file. Alright, so while that's downloading, let's go ahead and connect to our drive. Oops, nerd.org. Okay. Okay, so VMNerd. Gotta love it. Okay, it looks like our downloads have completed. So we can now go through the process of uploading them to our server here, our shared, basically shared drive, so to speak, using Nextcloud. Give that just a few more seconds, and that looks good. Alright, so let's go ahead and go off to our Road Warrior machine. So we'll bring this up. First thing we need to do is go download our software. So in this case, it's going to be drive.nerd.org. Okay, VMNerd. Super secret password. So at some point, guys, I will be doing a video on how to install one of these cool servers, which I like very much. Download. These Nextcloud servers, I really like them. Pretty cool. Come on, you can do it. God, you'd think my internet would be faster. Whatever. Alright, so let's go to our downloads, move it up here to our desktop for quick access here. So let's go ahead and extract. Okay, we'll extract this as well. Come back to that. Let's go ahead and do our install. See if it wants to do, I should have ran it as administrator. Oh, good. Well, let's see. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and right click run as administrator. This is one of those applications that you need to do that with. It's installing services, which is typically an administrative level function. I don't care about that. Alright, so I'm going to take this data, I'm going to copy it in and to the configuration folder for OpenVPN. So if you see I already have one in there, this is the regular VPN client. You can tell by the name. But I'm going to show you guys how to switch that and make it something easier to remember than this weird, whatever that is, name. Okay, let's do a run as. We need to run it as administrator. Alright, so if we go over here, look at these names. They just long and, well, they're not straightforward. So, well, they are, but let's make them user-friendly. So I'm going to rename that one to PIA, and then this one right here will be the VPN client. So now when we go down here and we go to right click, now we have the two different ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and do one more check before we proceed. Let's go back into the firewall, just make sure I have the right rules in. So we did create a rule, okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and add the interface for the VPN server. So this will be called VPN server. We're currently labeled opt1, but let's go switch that. We'll call this VPN for our Road Warrior VPN. Okay, we'll do a save. Looks good. Okay. Open VPN. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to our rules, and just to keep it simple for now, let's go ahead and do a any. This will basically allow all communications through VPN to go wherever it needs to go. Okay, let's go back to our LAN and let's make this adjustment here to the source. Okay. All right, now let's go back to our Road Warrior VPN and let's do some testing. So the first account, let's go ahead and use the VPN client. Just regular, add the firewall rules to allow the communication. Looks like we're in. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there's our IP, 10.0.0.2. And let's make sure. So the colo has a, or sorry, the pod, yeah, the colo pretty much has a 72 dot something address. So let's go to our IP site. And in theory, we should have that. Okay. Strike out again. No. Of course. All right. Let's go figure out what's going on here. I think I need to restart the VPN. So since I added this here, I think I have to restart the OpenVPN service here. Let's go to services. Yeah, there it is. Let's do a restart. The whole reason why, it's got to create these interfaces, the routing interfaces. If I check the checkbox, let's go take a look and see if they're there. And there it is. So you see 10.0.0.1. Now let's try it and see what happens. Okay, that is definitely not my colo location here. Instead of wasting my time, let's just do an NS lookup. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, just the VPN server service needed to be restarted. Okay, so let's go back, click blog, then we'll go to IP. Alright. See, and now this is the IP of the pod that we're connected to. Okay, so we know that our PIA client is working, or at least our VPN client. So let's take a look at the log. And if we look right here, we have 10.0.0.2 as our IP address. And let's go ahead and disconnect. So what we're going to do is we're just for the fun of it, we're going to connect with our PIA client. And this time, instead of 2, we're expecting 50 as the address. So let's let it do its thing. There we go. See? There it is right there, 50. But we'll look at the log just to make sure. Okay, so right here, there's the .50. And basically that's how we're going to identify at a later time what our client IP is, or basically when we're going to add the rule, the firewall rule to redirect the traffic a certain way, we'll do it based on that IP information. And currently it's getting this as its IP. So let's go ahead and disconnect. And let's move on to the next step. So now that we have our Road Warrior VPN working, we can clearly get out to the internet. We're hitting our web page, which is on a different IP block and doing different things. And it's showing our IP, which is going through our tunnel. Where now that we're disconnected, let's do our IP, and you can tell that we are somewhere else. Anyways, I digress. Let's go to private internet access. Oh, we're not going to do that from our Road Warrior. Let's go to our management box. Okay, we'll go back to, I guess the first place we're going to have to go anyway is a CA. Seems to be normal. So let's go to private enter access. Okay, let's go to their website. Okay, Quadranet, how funny. Download. Scroll down here, and if you look right there, there's a view open VPN configurations. Let's go ahead and download. Let's grab this strong one. Okay, so for what we're doing, we're going to use the ones. Let's see which one's available. Copy. Let's go to the desktop. It's going to expand. These are all the ones they have, at least for the strong, secure VPN. Right, it's going to give us a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's see if we can find the one in Las Vegas. That's the one we'll use. Move. And we need this certificate. So first thing we need to do is add this to our trusted CA list. There we go. You can just copy it as is. It's a bunch of garbly goop. If you alter it, then it won't work. But if you copy it as is, it will work. Let's add our PIA CA. Okay, private internet access. And we're going to import this time as opposed to create a new. Okay, so this looks good. Next, we are going to, let's start by going to the VPN section. So we're going to go under clients, but let's go back to our configuration. Actually, we don't need to go in there. Let's go grab our other one here. This guy. We can go ahead and open him up with WordPad. Where's it at? Okay, looks good. We probably shouldn't have checked that checkbox, but that's okay. Alright, so let's go through the process of configuring this guy up. Make this a little smaller so we can see both. Okay, so if we look right here, we're peer-to-peer, SSL, TLS. And I thought I saw something in there that said TLS. Probably near the bottom, no. Well, this is there it is, TLS client. Okay, so we're good there. It's using UDP for proto. Let's see, we're going to need this guy here. And if you look at the port number is 1197. So let's add the IP here, and we'll do 1197. Okay, we're going to come back and we'll add the user and password after. Let's go ahead and take this out. We don't need that. We added our CA, so it's the PIA CA. Client certificate. We're going to use username and password. We're not going to use that. So here we're going to do CBC 256. We're going to uncheck that and disable that. And it looks like for auth digest is SHA-256. We'll use that. Okay, looks good, looks good. Compression. There's a compress statement, so let's use that. I don't think it really matters, but we'll use this one for now. If there's an issue, we'll go to the logs and take a look. We can go ahead and check this, and this part here is very important. We don't want to add or remove routes into the pFSense. Your pFSense will get a little bit weird because it's trying to force everything out, that VPN connection. So we will turn this off, And this is where we're going to add later on. We're going to enable policy-based routing within the firewall rule. Okay, so here we want to go ahead and create IPv4. And the last step is to go ahead and add username and password. Let me get that real quick. I'm not a fan of typing this stuff in, so. Okay. Let's go ahead and do a save. No, we don't want to do that. Let's go take a look, just see if we connected, which we did. Fantastic. This is great news. Okay, so step number 1, we did that, which was get everything loaded. It's working. So the next step we need to do is go take a look at our NAT rules. Oh, now let's go ahead and add the interface. So we're going to create another interface, and this one we're going to call PIA. So we'll save it, go to op2, call it PIA. Since, well, you know, before I do that, let's go ahead and go to routing. And you notice how we don't have the, see how this one says VPN, we're going to get one that says PIA. And when we do that, by creating this virtual interface, it will allow us to use it as a part of the routing configuration. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So PIA. Looks good. It's going to require, just like when we did the server, it's going to require a restart of the VPN connection. And the reason why we need to do that is so that way it can generate that interface. Okay, so if we go back here to the routing table, it's still not there. Oh, it is. But notice there's no IP address. Okay, so let's go to OpenVPN, and let's go ahead and restart this. Okay. Okay, looks good. All right, so now on to the next step. Let's go ahead and start messing with the NAT tables. Okay, we're going to do the outbound side of the house. We need to go ahead and specify manual outbound connections. This is actually kind of important because as of now, the PIA doesn't know that we need to go down that path, and if we did enable policy-based routing, it's not going to NAT, so the private internet access connection won't know how to get back to us because they don't know about our network. And this is where NAT comes into play. So let's go ahead and take our specified account, and let's just clone them for ease of administration's sake. We'll just PIA is the out interface. Okay, so 10.0. We'll just do it that way for now. Okay, so that should be enough, and we also, I think we need to add one here as well. We'll add it just because we can. PIA looks good. All right. So it looks good. So, I mean, hypothetically, we should be, if we were to VPN in, we should be able to at least ping the gateway on the other side. Hypothetically, of course. But we're not going to do that just yet. So let's go to our firewall rules. Let's go to our VPN. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and create our alias here. We're going to create an alias called PIA _VPN. Okay, and in this case, we're going to add our one host, which will be 10.0.0.50, if you remember. If not, I'll show you. So in the VPN section, under the client overrides, we actually specified an IP address down here, and this was the .50. So this is how we're going to force the clients to go through there using that block, or that IP address, not block. Okay, so now let's go to our rules. Let's go to VPN, and let's go ahead and create a rule above that rule. We'll do any source is going to be PIA VPN, and the match destination is going to be anything, right? So we're going to basically route this guy out using this rule. So let's go back into the rule and let's specify the gateway. This is why restarting that was important. Yeah, I don't even know if we restarted it. We'll restart it before we continue. Yeah, we did. So 10.75.10.5, which is the PIA gateway. We'll go ahead and do a save. Okay, so basically if you have an IP address of 10.0.0.50, you're going to route out the PIA gateway. Otherwise, you're going to route out the default. So let's go ahead and take a look with our Road Warrior VPN. So currently, just like before, we're still at that. Okay. All right, so we're at this IP address. We're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and use our VPN client, so that way we can show the location where we're coming from. Okay, so we have a 10.0.0.2. Let's do that. Let's do IP, and there it is. Okay, looks good. Now let's go ahead and disconnect. Okay, we'll give it a second here. Let's go ahead and reconnect. This time with our PIA client. This time we're expecting a .50 as the IP. Let's see if this thing fails. It might. Just because it had a previous connection, that's why. It may take a little time to time out. So let's disconnect. We'll do it again. I personally want instant gratification. There we go. Instant gratification. There's our .50. Okay, so let's go. Just click on a different tab here. In theory, we should still be going. Okay, let's go to IP. And if you look here, now we're coming out of Las Vegas using the private internet access. Okay, so let's do one last thing. And they have this concept of DNS leaking, right? So DNS leaking. Leak PIA. Let's do a test. It's too much work here. Let's do a test here. All right. Here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, this looks right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a check. And I'm expecting it to fail. Yeah. Okay, so in order to fix this problem, the solution I had come up with is to go ahead and add a NAT entry. So let's go to our NATs. Okay, and we're going to add a port forward here. We're going to choose the VPN. Since all the VPN clients come in from here, we're going to take TCP and UDP. The source is going to be our PIA. So we don't care about the other ones. They're kind of using local stuff, which works great. Any source port that they're coming from doesn't matter. But the destination should be the LAN address over DNS. Okay, so if they're going here, then what we want to do is go ahead and redirect them at this point. And let's use PIA servers. So 209.222.18.222. Yep, they actually have 218 also instead of 222. And the port, we're going to do DNS. And we'll do a save. Let's go ahead and apply. And that should do it. But let's go back. Okay, so here, you see how it's leaking out. Basically, the way that they test this is that they have custom records on there that wouldn't be in a normal DNS server. And if they can read those records, then it's not necessarily leaking because you're going through their infrastructure. Okay, so let's go back, hit the back button, and let's start this test again and see what happens. There we go. So we are no longer leaking DNS according to their website because they can resolve things that they couldn't resolve before. Okay, so let's do one more test. Okay, so now that we've done this, okay, we know our IP is this, which is the private internet service, right? So let's go ahead and disconnect, and let's take our normal user client, okay? And let's log in and see if our IP is using the pFSense firewall's IP. Okay, this is expected, it does that. So we'll disconnect, we'll reconnect one more time. Yeah, it still thinks it's connected, that's what the problem is. There we go. So we got 10.0.0.2. Alright, it says we're connected. Let's go ahead and just do a refresh. And there we go. So we are using the pFSense based on our user. So in this case, our VPN client works great. And our PIA client works great as well. It does what it's supposed to do. So let's go ahead and connect just one more time, just to make sure. Okay, looks good. There we go. .50. Oops, .50. Okay, and let's just do a refresh, and we should still have the Las Vegas location. And we do. And we'll do a leak test one last time, just because. And we are good to go. Okay, so we went through, we displayed, or we walked through our visual diagram of our lab. We did install a preferred plugin. The plugin was related to the export of the VPN configuration for our Road Warriors. We configured our Road Warrior VPN server. We set up 2 users, a normal VPN user and a PIA user. We installed the Road Warrior VPN client with the 2 user profiles. We tested the normal VPN user. We configured private internet access VPN client within pFSense. We enabled policy-based routing. We set up the required network address translations, or NATs. And we tested the PIA user and the normal VPN user just to ensure that the configuration was working as designed. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed our video, and have a nice day. If you like this or any other video that we've created and you feel like you want to support us, we have multiple ways to support us. We have a Patreon account where you can buy us a coffee, a beer, or anything like that just to say thank you. No obligations. If you want, go to our Facebook page. Periodically we will take some messenger requests, so feel free. You can always check out our website at www.vmnerd.com, and of course we have plenty more videos on our YouTube channel, so feel free. Thank you. Have a great day.